So here's the plan. I need to beat Jedi Fallen Order with only kicking, but that's incredibly difficult to say the least. So in order to beat that, I'm going to beat Jedi Fallen Order in Survivor with one life shared between them. But to train to do that, I'm here to beat the Jedi Fallen Order Defense Master Challenge. Convoluted, but fun. I did this in Survivor, and the rules are the same here. I'm only allowed to attack if I break an enemy's block through parrying, or I'm allowed one attack per perfect dodge. I am allowed to deflect blaster bolts back as well. Both parrying and perfect dodge require defending at the last possible second before an attack connects, so I'm going to need to master enemy attack patterns to stand a chance. I'm allowed to use any attack upon breaking the block or perfect dodging, but I have a tendency to only use the basic strike. Also, for clarity's sake, yes, I am allowed to win QuickTime events. All this must be done on Grandmaster difficulty, and since this challenge was so difficult in Survivor, I'm quite curious to see how I fare in Fallen Order. Let's go find out together, shall we? Cal has to get the obligatory trauma of watching his friend get murdered out of the way, and then I'm faced with the greater trauma of a minor inconvenience as the game demands I strike down the stormtrooper who is doing nothing to me. That feels like murder, and I'm not going to be party to that, no matter how much he keeps trying to make me. But if I can get the timing right and block the nanosecond after I move to attack, I can not attack and avoid killing the trooper. Though you wouldn't know it from how dramatically he flops to the ground anyway. He's fine, he's just a drama king. The rest of the train is more than happy to attempt to murder me, though when attempting to dodge what I should not, it's no longer a case of attempted murder, but actual murder. I do have to deal with the unskippable tutorial moment of slowing an enemy, but I let the slow wear off and I parry him into his death to keep it from affecting anything. When the second sister corners me, I have nothing to worry about, as Cal is not meant to win this fight and is instead saved by the timely arrival of Cere and Grease. Taking to the hidden safe world of Bogano, I contemplate the wisdom in slicing cables that clearly would fry me in retribution. There's no halting Cal from this canonically stupid decision though, but at least we have the sweet, sweet healing drugs to take the pain away. I'll need them right away as I fail abysmally dealing with a pack of splocks. Truly easy to defeat bugs, made far more dangerous by my inability to time the parry right. Don't worry, I am smart enough, for once, to flee, as I realize my skill isn't up to the task, but I am not smart enough in my escape to avoid gravity's pull. Twice in a row. I really hope Cere and Grease didn't see that, or I'm never going to live it down. I mean, I suppose I already didn't live it down. Reaching Bogano's vault, Cal now understands his mission to trace the Jedi Master Cordova's path in order to get the holocron inside the vault that lists Force-sensitive children so he can rebuild the Jedi Order. It is a great plan, hampered by his death 3 seconds later to a massive toad. He won't get me again. In that way, I mean, as I dodge his tongue only to die to his chomps. Unlike Survivor, most enemies in Fallen Order only require a single parry to throw them off their guard, which is fantastic. If I could land the parry and riposte more consistently anyway. The toad gives me many openings to parry him, it's just a matter of practice to get the timing right. Not the prettiest win, so the smart thing would be to race to the ship and get off this peaceful, yet painful planet as fast as I can. But instead I'll do the dumb choice and hunt down the Ogdo Bogdo. She fights the exact same way as the last toad, but hits so much harder. But heck, if you can get the timing down once, it's really not hard to keep doing it, making the second attempt so easy that she never even lands a hit. Time to make my way to Zepho, the land of being easily lost and turned around for hours on end. Thankfully, I've been here enough to mostly know the way, and the native wildlife and Imperial presence are all quite simple to parry in one shot. Plus, a handy extra stim crate first thing upon touching down. Comes in handy when I face the Scout Trooper Commander, the first enemy that actually has a proper block bar, meaning I need to parry multiple of his strikes back to back if I want to break through his defense. If I fail the timing at all, I'll look less pretty. But also his block bar will quickly regenerate, meaning more parries are needed. Usually I just rely on perfect dodge to deal with him, But tragically in Fallen Order, Cal doesn't know how to do perfect dodge until a little over halfway through the game, so I'm gonna need to rely on my parrying skills until then. My reputation must already be spreading though, as the next group of imps handle me like geniuses, and refuse to acknowledge my existence no matter how in their faces I get. The lightsaber can't affect them if they refuse to acknowledge the lightsaber's existence, and they are beyond all mortal threats. They're amazingly stone-faced as well. Brilliant power move by them. If only the rest of the Imperials had the sense to do that. But then I'd have no challenge and far less bruises, so I guess I'm glad they're not that intelligent. Reaching Zepho's puzzle tomb for the next step of Cordova's path, I come across Tomb Guardians and quickly realize there's absolutely nothing I can do to them. Parrying them doesn't stun them in the slightest, and well, that's my only trick, so it's time to skedaddle. I'll experience far more suffering in my failures to grab this rope than with those Guardians at least. They're quite slow, making it easy to avoid them so I can learn how to do force push, and then sidestep this Guardian so I can force push the door behind it and flee. Still, the only way forward is to solve this ball wind puzzle, but it's made much more complicated by this Guardian's refusal to let me work in peace. I'm happy to see there's plenty of high ground to make use of in order to avoid tangling with the metal puzzle hater, but it's been so long since I've been here that I forgot how to solve this puzzle, causing me to waste precious time and put myself in far more danger as I dodge around trying to remember the solution. When I finish, my way out is blocked by rocket troopers, but a melee parry isn't even needed as these rocket troopers truly do not care about their own lives, or in fact, the lives of their comrades. I respect the dedication. Too bad for them, I can just heal at the next meditation spot, making their sacrifice worthless. But they'll never know at least. While exploring, I then discover another creature. The Jotaz refuses to play along with the challenge as I get tossed around trying to find out if there's any parry combo that can bring him down. If there is, the only thing I discover is more ways to get hurt. I'm even less happy facing down a Purge Commander right after. These guys know how to frickin' dodge deflected blaster bolts consistently, and they attack far faster than most foes, often bypassing my defense. I can only land an attack if I parry their melee strike, but I really struggle with the timing with how much I fear their speed. So twice in a row, almost 3 times, I get purged. There is no enemy I hate more than these guys. But there's also no enemy I feel more satisfied beating, so I guess there's that. With that annoyance dealt with, it's time to spend 3 minutes deflecting this AT-ST's blast back at it till it goes kaput and I can fly off to Kashyyyk. Here's where the challenge unravels, as Cal and BD hijack an AT-AT and must use it to demolish the Imperials stationed here. It is nothing like any other point in the game, meaning there's no option for me to do anything but open fire and stomp my way through. A nasty splat on my defense-only ways. Crawling into the albino giant spider lair so we can duel it out, I'm disappointed with myself how many times I get hit by a creature that has 4 total moves, all of which give plenty of warning. Even if only one is parryable though, it's still quite an easy win. Same goes for the Purge Trooper and the security droid blocking my way to rescuing the Wookiees, as I have so much experience killing both of them in Survivor. Even better, the security droid is even easier here as every parry completely throws it off and forces it to try and grab me, making it extra predictable, allowing me to free the Wookiees with minimum issue. Back to Zepho, I'm confronted by the second sister for the second time, and here's where I weep loudly, and a little gnashing of teeth as well. Trilla here, she's just playing with her food, and is giving minimum effort to kill Cal, which would be great in every other situation but this one challenge. I need to break her block, but I struggle to because she's not in a rush to attack me. If I want to hurt her, I need to parry her attacks back to back so her block bar won't regenerate in time, and in order to do that, I need to memorize every possible move she can do. It kills me when she leaves herself so open to counterattack, but I have to just watch her slowly get back up into defensive posture. I would appreciate it as well if she didn't auto-switch to an unblockable attack if I parry her too many times in a row. After 3 minutes of fighting and not a scratch on her, I fall for the first time. For the second try, I finally parry enough times in a row in order to land a strike, but all that parrying only affords me is a single hit each time her block comes down, which means I'm only able to land a couple strikes after 5 more minutes of fighting before I fall again. You know, I don't think I've ever been so bummed at an enemy not trying their hardest to kill me before. If I can land a couple hits in, she'll throw in a few more moves to her arsenal, making it even harder to beat her, but with every single attempt and slash to my beautiful face, I grow a little bit closer to beating her. It helps that I remember I'm not stuck using the basic strike, but I can strong attack in order to increase how much damage she takes. After almost an hour of losing to her and 9 total deaths, I've finally gotten into the flow of combat, and just as I'm about to beat her, as Trilla only needs to lose half her health for the fight to end, that's when my game chooses to crash. You know, sometimes, in fact, quite often, I question whether I'm in the bad place. Because of the universe's cruel interference and my own inconsistency of skill, it would take 2 more deaths, during which I get quite close to victory, and then my victory fight taking 9 whole minutes before she pushes me out of the fight and BD1 saves me from this hellhole. It's that time! Time to go get electrocuted by a random bounty hunter and captured to perform an arena fight against a bunch of beasts. It's actually really easy, until the Jotaz comes out, and I have no clue what to do at that point, but try and survive, since I can't hurt the giant angry beastie. I do not succeed at that. Twice. But good news, everyone! My second attempt reveals a path of hope to me on how I might escape. There are 2 acid-spitting spiderlings skittering around the arena, and their spit deals damage to anything that touches it, minus the spiders themselves. I think you can see where I'm going with this. All I have to do is avoid killing the spiderlings, rush around the arena, making sure the Jotaz runs into every acid splotch they create, and soon enough, it will die to the acid. From there, everything else, including the bounty hunter that jumps into the fray, is as easy as can be to slay. I wish the mantis had shown up before the fighting had started, or literally at any point during the long fight, but showing up the exact moment the battle is over, I guess that works too. Returning to Kashyyyk, I meet another rocket trooper with no sense of self-preservation, followed soon after by another that has 0 care for his pals and also 0 care for himself. By the Force, what insanity do they feed these troopers to have them be so reckless? I'm starting to worry about them. Through the power of very bouncy mushrooms, I first find a stim crate, and then I discover how to double jump, which for me is the greatest thing ever. Not for the jumping, which, yay, sure, but for perfect dodge, aka precision evade, finally being unlocked, allowing me many more attack chances. It's great timing as the ninth sister drops in and would like a demonstration. One I'm more than happy to give her, but unfortunately I forget everything I've ever known and die almost immediately instead. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? Round 2 goes far better, with only a few minor blunders, until I evade her leaping attack and it makes the precision evade sound, but not the animation, making me question whether it counts or not since I struck out on instinct with the sound effect. I prefer to err on the side of caution, so it's time to let her kill me and restart. Grand. The ninth is very predictable though in everything that she does, giving me plenty of opportunity to counterattack her, especially now with perfect dodge handy, making the third attempt a cakewalk. She's gotta hand it to me. That has to be worth some respect from her, right? Well, she'll have plenty of time to think about it on the way down. I set sail for Dathomir, home to the Zabrak Dathomirians, who really aren't happy to see me and make that very evident. But if one of them randomly forgets how to be normal and decides to crouch endlessly while I fight his brothers, I'm okay with that. These Night Brother warriors all have block bars, which means parrying takes extra work, but that's why perfect dodge is so crucial. If I can get the timing right, that is. Unfortunately, there's also zombie Night Sisters, because this planet wasn't creepy enough already, I guess. The Night Sisters claw at me sporadically, and I'm just spamming my block button, trying to get the timing right as they confuse me. It's not a bright idea, so no wonder I take so much damage here. But at least I do have the sense to flee to rest before trying again. Heading back in, I start to get the timing down, but I discover the biggest problem is actually being able to counterattack without being interrupted by the other zombies. It's quite annoying, but it's effective, so I guess I can't blame them for a smart winning strategy. It is very slow going, but finally, when it's clear I will not be interrupted, I can cut each of them down one by one and make my way forward. About 20 feet forward, that is, as a duo of Night Brothers bash my face in, or the zombies right behind them claw me up. They never win, but that's because I keep fleeing to heal back up and try again, only for the same results. Better than dying, but not by much. Only way to follow that disaster up is to put me against the hardest boss of the game, Gorgara the Giant Bat. Which, yes, Gorgara is without a doubt the easiest unskippable boss of the game in every scenario but this challenge. She loves to sit there dumbfounded after every move she makes whiffs the mark, and yet I can't do anything about it. Despite my best attempts to perfect dodge her, it is not happening, and it cost me a whole life trying to. As for parrying, well, I can catch the occasional wingtip, but she's clearly not stunned by it. The only parry that will throw her off is if I catch her mid-bite, which is simple to do, being she screams at me when she's about to do it. It's not a very bright tactic, but I'm not going to critique the giant murderous bat, especially when it benefits me. She's even stunned long enough for 2 strikes if I so choose. You'd think with that in my favor, all I have to do now is dodge everything else she can throw at me and wait for the chomp. But nope, that would be too merciful on my soul, so instead, once she's in her last phase of combat, Big Baddie will learn her lesson and instantly recover from the parry, following it up with an unblockable poke. It's not cool when my enemies learn. I don't! Why should they? Well, now I'm at a loss of what to do. I keep hopping into that cave, desperately looking for a perfect dodge that will take, or another parry window. But no, it's just not gonna happen. I must make a compromise of sorts. Yes, Bats isn't stunned when I parry her wings, but Cal does go into riposte mode as though she is, something he doesn't do parrying the Guardians or the Jotaz, the enemies in the game that don't care if I parry. With nothing else available, it's clear I must take advantage of this option if I'm going to move forward. It's the same essence of the challenge, and obviously harder than if I just attacked her willy-nilly, which, as of this point, is my only other option, so I'm not really sure if this breaks the challenge or not, but I'll leave that to your guys' discretion. Either way, even with that choice, I'll still be here for another 35 minutes, 30 of which is just one attempt as I refuse to go down, but I can't reach Gorgara with my pathetically short human arms after I parry her. Plus, my window to hit is even shorter as, like I said, Gorgara is not stunned and more than happy to hit me as I attempt to hit her. My strong strike costs force, but it does have greater reach, allowing me to cover the distance usually, but my regular strike often misses, only luck bringing me close enough to hit her. You'd think, hey, why don't you just use a hit that covers much more ground, like the dash strike? And that is a great idea. That I don't think of until 29 minutes in. I do get there in the end, but boy is it sad to watch the process. Finally, after an hour fighting Gorgara, she flees when close to death, only to pop back up outside and kill me while I try to climb to safety. Note, jumping over and over is in fact not a faster way to climb than just holding up. Well, it's good to know for science. Don't worry, all these little saber stabs from Cal are not me, but cinematic Cal, and Gorgara does the rest of the work by slamming into every rock face possible, and at last I am free. I gotta say, I'm going to miss her, and I certainly will never have to worry about fighting her in other runs with all the practice I just got. Heading on, the Night Brothers at first make my life miserable, and then completely randomly, I lock in and say no, refusing to get hit by any more of them, which is great timing, because I literally can't even see my health anymore. Slashing my way through, I go get re-traumatized reliving Order 66, and then I have to cut away at my master. This is a force illusion, and you literally can't do damage, nor can you get hurt, so does this count? I don't really think so, but once again, I'll leave it to you guys. With Cal mentally reeling and his lightsaber broken, it's best to get off this horrible murder planet and head for Ilum to get a new saber. The only threats here are a few probe droids, but I can just run on by to retrieve my new lightsaber crystal, gaining new extra powerful strikes. I do not need those new moves to kill the mini scout troopers outside, as the troopers are more than willing to let me pull off back-to-back parry kills, but the extra powerful double saber strike makes a huge difference in battling all these security droids. I'm still thankful they take turns at killing me, for some reason. It's actually really confusing why they take turns when I think about it, but I think I'll just accept it. Returning to Dathomir, I have to strike at my master using my new moves, but still, no damage is done, and it's unskippable, so hell if I know if it counts. Does it really matter? He doesn't need to teach me about non-violence when I've been non-violent all game. Well, sort of. Not violent first, anyway. I'm just glad Merrin sees my non-violent ways and makes friends with me. Not only because she's fantastic, but also because I'm going to need her help defeating Malicos, the fallen Jedi blocking my way. Honestly, I am surprised at what comes next, as Malicos has always proven to be the hardest boss by far in my other adventures here. But this time, I defeat him first try. Partially from so much experience fighting him in the past, I'm sure. Another part because he attacks much more rapidly, giving me many chances for parrying. And lastly, because I make good use of the double split saber strike to rip huge chunks of health off of him. But really, I have to thank luck in every last healing stem I have, as I don't win by a large margin, but actually by the tiniest sliver. I got him to his sliver of health first, but my inability to quickly follow up on it almost cost me the match if I wasn't on top of my perfect dodges. Merrin then puts him in the timeout corner, aka one of the most brutal ways to die, I realize after thinking about it more than 3 seconds, before I shove it out of my mind and go retrieve the key to Bogano's vault, and more importantly, gain Merrin as my new traveling companion. But before I head out, I kill 2 more bounty hunters that pop up and take the time to retrieve a nearby stim crate, as I know my next destination, the Inquisitor base, won't be a very welcoming place. Well, technically, I must take a pit stop at Bogano, so Trilla can steal the holocron we've been chasing this whole time, but that just takes a moment. Heck, while I'm here, I might as well grab another stim crate in fact. Now it's time for the fortress, which is actually really easy after so much practice defending against every foe they can throw at me leading up to here. Well, except the Purge Commander. You know how much I hate that guy. That gatekeeper of my nightmares loves to ruin my day, stopping me 3 times in a row as he's backed by a security droid. Once I'm able to take down the droid, the Lone Devil is actually beatable, but he certainly makes me work for it still. When the sun goes out, and the Earth is long gone, and the universe shrinks to nada, or whatever happens, my hate and rage at these commandos will still be alive and undiminished. All that's left is the ninth sister, Trilla. She makes it fast, which I suppose I appreciate. Trilla wins a good deal of the fights, as she scoops away most of my health in one go, as I either fall for her one-shot grab, or her very long spin of doom. She's quite agile and impressive, and I'd be clapping at her performance if I wasn't the one being torn to shreds. Ah hell, I'll clap anyway! On the bright side, she is quite easy to precision dodge and follow up with the same power strike I used to destroy Malicos. It really is the ultimate boss killer attack. I of course still like to nearly die, but with that saber strike it doesn't take too much to beat Trilla. Only for Vader to show up and force me to flee. That guy ruins all my fun, doesn't he? But I'm sure he will never ever show up again to ruin Cal's life. Huzzah! After 49 deaths, 14 hours, 58 minutes, and 1 loss with the AT-AT section, or 2, 3, or 4 losses if you count Gorgara, and both Master Tapal moments, I've beaten nearly all of Fallen Order as a defense master. extremely easier than Survivor, largely thanks to only needing to parry most enemies once, but I also have far more experience than when I did that challenge in Survivor, so who knows how much that helped. Still, it was pretty painful, especially that hour with Gorgara. Thank you all for watching, I truly hope you enjoyed. I'm off now to return to my building blocks and see about beating LEGO Lord of the Rings without dying. I hope to see you next time for that adventure. May your defense be ever unbreakable, friends.